Not all your life decisions have to be smart, some can be purely for cinematic value. Take this wonderful building for example. My two friends are currently setting their eyes on a turret-covered Pandora's box up in the corner. I however have placed far more interest in this magnificent redneck-looking cult tower. It's even owned by a tribe called Simp Nation. I'm placing 50-50 odds we find a sex dungeon inside if we look hard enough, so naturally we take the opportunity to visit the building. Placing early Christmas presents on the ground for any children that might come by after us. By the way, whoever made this building deserves a golden shrine. And potentially one of those white coats they give the crazy people, just one insanely beautiful looking building. Though due to it having a cult vibe I'm getting an eerie feeling, so it's going to have to go. It screams religious sex cult and those poor little boys have suffered enough. Just once I wish it would be something like the cult leader went insane and gave away all his money to people in need. But no, that's never the case. It's always, Mr. Churchy Church got caught fisting a homeless dwarf in a Speedo while licking an ice cream cone, and we the world are just so used to it. We end up trying to protect this dwarf fister. Basically what I'm trying to say is I'm blowing up the pedo tower so Simp Nation can't sit up there furiously beating it while creepily watching the playground, and I think that's fair. Now just to make a smooth exit and get a good view. In my head this is all going to look like a Michael Bay movie. There's gonna be flying rocks, smoldering heat, and maybe even Bruce Willis. There are few times I find myself sitting with a disappointed face, however this was the biggest pile of bullshit climax I've ever seen. It freaking Ark-erred all three of us. You know that episode in South Park where Kyle signed on the Apple user agreement and gets his mouth sewn to another person's backside? That's the feeling I'm getting here. So naturally I decided to handle the situation like a responsible adult and not some grown-up man-child throwing a temper tantrum at a pixelated dinosaur game. No sir, not me. A fair question is, am I a good person? No, but do I try to be better every day? Also no. Some time went by and Jello discovered one of Jeffrey Epstein's love nests. Naturally, being the caregivers we decided to raid and pillage the bastard because that's what good people do. We dealt with quite a few odd obstacles on this one. The towers surprised us with how much ammo they were holding. The Velos were acting spectacularly feisty and apparently our food refused to keep us satisfied. Nevertheless, knowing full well shutting down this place would save many 12-year-old children, we bravely pushed forward. When we felt the towers were soaked from one side, Jello mustered up the courage to gently charge his face right into the wall, and wouldn't you know the son of a gun made it. Basically a looped up SWAT enforcer getting the jump on an elite kid touching gang. It's Pizzagate all over again. BTW Google Pizzagate, that is one amazing conspiracy. Jello's placed the Play-Doh on the wall and breached it. Like an aggressive Jehovah's Witness we strap on our croc shoes and rush after him. Using the trike as an organic ladder system, entering Epstein's base was made easy, and to no surprise the guy's running a circular shaped room. The only people that have a round shaped bases are either on 14 different types of medication or enjoy pretending to play Knights of the Round Table. Which is funny because I believe one of Jeffrey Epstein's most famous buddies is the British Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Honestly, I bet if we look carefully enough in here we'll find him, Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump cruising around on a tandem bicycle. As you can see, we didn't end up wasting much time. Once we got inside, we drew up our pentagram and summoned metal chomping Doug Jones, and the loot in the base was nice and all. Especially seeing as we were currently running on scraps from the previous raids. Now while we proceed through this incredibly delightful moment involving watching some random millennial looting, let's take a philosophical break. And thank biology that our internal organs don't itch. Fun fact. Actually, digestion is actually really painful, but your brain just tells you it's fine, the same way it tells you not to bite off your finger even though you can. Which you know could be considered frustrating, because for women you may ask why the fuck doesn't it do that for menstrual cramps that come in swinging violently once a month? Where the answer is simple: you bitches took the apple. Did you find that thought process more stimulating than watching a guy picking up pixelated loot in a dinosaur game? Well, if it did, I hope you have an awful day, you coffin-dodging oxygen thief, because this shit right here is prime time entertainment. If I was to rank looting in Ark, I would rank it right at the top of the list. Right next to hammering my hand to a unicorn-shaped meat grinder or perhaps watching Phil Collins play Son of Man at a concert. Keep in mind one does not cancel out the other. In fact, I would preferably want poor Phil to maintain eye contact with me as my hand meets its fate. Yet I am going to be a great dad one day. I will be sitting there casually and the kid will be like, tell me a story, and boom, trauma for life, enjoy you little shit. Well, Jello discovered the cryo-fridges and like a gentleman at the red light district in Amsterdam he made sure all the options were visible. So we take a peek around and thank the bloody stars there were actually tames here, because now not only were we set for raiding properly, but Jello would have absolutely no reason to torture me with this whole let's take a few minutes and tame things. The man made it his thing to see if he could drain the last remaining 2 brain cells I have. The cryos were stacked. We got everything from modified Kentucky Fried Chicken birds, furry T-Rexes, penis horses, My Little Ponies, Irish sex creatures and Japanese tentacle pleasures. I bet right now a few of you are trying to figure out which creature connects to the names I just dropped. If you figure them out you can always write them in the comments below, but odds are it will go away since I don't know how to keep the filthy comments in the YouTube chat open. Man, some of you people have filthy mouths BTW. Knowing full well that I'm one of the least responsible people in the group, I opt to take all the cryopods and stack them on our LGBTQ flag wearing Argentavis. Now I know they're safe because heaven help you if you mention anything against someone hoisting this flag. Let the homies enjoy shit, you little nipple twisters. Only one floor remains, and wouldn't you know, it's the damn orgy chamber. How do I know? Because I too would choose to have an abnormally large decapitated radioactive stricken arachnoid's head hanging over my headboard. Look at all of these elite pedos. Each one probably suffering from having dealt with hardships that go far beyond what our feeble minds could handle. Imagine you get all the advantages in the world and the first thing you do is become a child abuser. Say what you will about the French, at least they made good use of the guillotine. This terrorist seems to be sleeping with enough rockets on their body to reenact the 9/11 scenario. Only good things happen in this room, I'm sure. Next up, I choose to leave Epstein's little house and check out the nearby structures, although seeing as we haven't soaked it out I opt to try to get to it using a different method. The good old I'm gonna toss a anger tantrum at your glass house method. 30% of the time it works, 100% of the time, you figure that one out, why don't you? Clearly it went flawlessly, which is why there is a body there by the wall. Nothing with this plan ever went wrong because just like any responsible person controlling media feed, I've opted to only show you the parts that benefit me. We made it in, and honestly it's the most empty and disappointing massive structure I've seen in the last 24 hours. Sure, there were some tames and at least we found a few more of Epstein's accomplices. Turns out that one of the guys from the base logged in and instantly started to blow on their whistle. Within a minute one of the Alpha Tribe people showed up. Not really knowing what they expected when showing up alone on a skiff, we lit that thing up like it was the 4th of July in a redneck city. The guy gave it his best by trying to pick up whatever he could get his little shady hands on. But sadly the nerf to skiffs had already been introduced, and the only thing that would have happened if he took something was that we would get a more stable shot at the lovable geezer. Nevertheless, our man was set on trying to do something, and I guess it must be an American mindset because say what you will about the American education system, it clearly breeds dreamers. And this man was dreaming hard cause he stayed around longer than what I would have if I was him. Eventually the skiff started puffing smoke and that's when he called it. It would have made a nice little video if that thing fell out of the sky. A darn shame. Now that we knew that people were aware of us being here, we were left with few options. Yours truly was nominated to grab the loot, seeing as I was already carrying a ton of it while Jello and Pong got put in charge of dealing with the witnesses. Jeffrey apparently whistled all the dinosaurs to aggressive, meaning that we got to have some fun use of Barney the dinosaur. The meat running began and ended well for us. We ended up getting all the loot out and keeping our one and only Barney, so happy days all around. Honestly, that about sums it up for this episode, and I hope you guys have a terrible day. Don't forget to step on a Lego in the morning, you lunatics. See you in the next one.